Hello, peace seekers. Hello, everyone. So I'm doing another check-in. I would like to check in with you guys more often this year. So I want to check in with you guys today with a brief reminder of the importance of self-care. And when I say self-care, I mean focusing on activities that are going to encourage your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual wealth, right? And growth. I wanted to check in with you guys and to discuss 10 activities. I have a brief list, right? 10 activities that you may have participated in last week. So this is once again in regards to self-care. So I'm going to go over the list. Feel free to have a pen or a pencil and a pad nearby, and you can write down the ones that I go over. The first one is exercise, moving your body. Did you get a chance to exercise at all last week? However that looks, it doesn't have to be anything intense or too crazy. It doesn't necessarily have to be working up a sweat. It could just be going for a walk. It could just be jogging, light jogging, hitting the treadmill, maybe working out at home, or actually going to the gym and having a more intense workout. So if it is the case that you did participate in this activity, give yourself a point, okay? And this is going to be a point system. I meant to say that. So we're going to do it based on if it is in fact true that you did do an activity, give yourself a point. So the next one is spending quality time with friends and loved ones, right? Or maybe your romantic partner. Did you take time to do that, right? Socialization is really important. I know some of us are more on the introverted side, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, it is important to incorporate socialization as often as possible, okay? So did you take any time or make any effort to get together with friends, family, loved ones, spend quality time, whether it be outdoors or just going and spending time in someone's house or having them come over to your home, okay? If you did, give yourself a point. The third on the list is writing in a journal, okay? There are a lot of people who take this for granted, but it is really, really important. Sometimes we have a tendency to bottle up our thoughts, bottle up our emotions, and that's not really healthy. So a good way to be able to express yourself and get your feelings and your emotions out is on paper, right? And sometimes we can really surprise ourselves with the things that we actually do right. If it is the case that you did do a little bit of journaling last week, then give yourself a point. So everybody knows that I am an advocate for meditation. My YouTube channel is all about meditation. If it is the case that you did meditate last week, give yourself a point. People have a misconception on what exactly meditation is or what it looks like. People think that you have to sit with your legs crossed and you have to be in a certain position and that it has to be for an extended period of time, or you have to be saying affirmations, or it doesn't have to look like that, right? You don't have to be saying mantras. It could be just for 3 minutes. It could be that you say, I'm going to take some time away from the kids just for a moment, or step outside for a second. It doesn't have to be indoors. It can be outdoors, just getting a breath of fresh air. There are even walking meditations, right? You just going outside, taking a brief walk. That can be considered meditation. So it could be 3 minutes. It can be an hour, right? The possibilities are endless. But if it is the case that you did take some time to meditate, to just sit down and breathe and just focus on your breath and how your body's feeling and do a little check-in with yourself, give yourself a point. For all of my spiritual people out there, all my people who love God, taking a time to check in with yourself as far as how you're feeling spiritually, right? Reading a Bible, taking time to pray, okay? All of that counts in regards to your spirituality, your spiritual health, your getting in touch with God. If you took time to do that at any point last week, then give yourself a point. The next one is eating a home-cooked meal. whether you were the one who cooked it or someone was kind enough to cook the meal for you. If that is the case, that you had some time to enjoy your food and to actually know what's going into your food, right? Not getting anything from Uber Eats or anything delivered or eating out, give yourself a point. The next one is getting out and enjoying air. I did mention that briefly before, but it is really, really important to take some time to enjoy nature. I know that it could be a little bit difficult in the winter time, but just going outside, just enjoying the elements, taking some time to just take it all in. If at any point you did do that, then give yourself a point. And I don't mean when you're going out and you're rushing to work or you're rushing to school. I mean actually making a conscious decision that you are going to go out and enjoy just taking in the air, breathing some air, enjoying nature. If you did do that, give yourself a point. Taking supplements. So we often have a tendency to take supplements for granted, or the importance of taking supplements for granted. But it is really important to focus on our internal health just as much as we focus on our external. We, tend to focus on how we look, or our skin, or our hair, and the aesthetics. But we can neglect the internal, right? And a lot of the time, our health, it starts from the inside out. So if you at any point took some supplements, some vitamins at any point last week, you would give yourself a point. The next one is doing random acts of kindness, okay? So I'll give you an example. I'll use my sister as an example. She is someone who, let's say that she's going to a fast food restaurant and she's in the drive-thru. She's the person who will pull up at the window, give a little bit extra money and say, I would like to pay for, the person behind me. I'd like to pay for their meal. Just because she feels like doing it. She feels like doing something really nice for someone without getting anything in return. Anything. It could be a really small gesture. It doesn't have to be anything too crazy. It could just be opening a door for someone, letting someone go keep you in line at a store, at the grocery store, right? Letting them go before you, rather. Let's not say skip. That would be considered a random act of kindness. So if you participated in anything like this last week, you would give yourself a point. And the last one that I have on the list is decluttering, cleaning, reorganizing, right? Taking time to declutter your space. So a lot of the time, especially people who have a tendency to have anxiety, to get overwhelmed really easily, we have a lot of clutter going on in our minds, right? It's a lot happening at one time. And sometimes what's happening externally and what's happening around us can play a role. So if we clean our space, if we take time to really tidy up a bit in our home, around us, in our office, we can see that it does make a difference in how we feel emotionally and how we feel mentally. Okay, there is a correlation there. So if you did take time, let's say, to reorganize your fridge or your cabinets or your pantry, whatever it is, if you took time to do that at all last week, you would give yourself a point. So then you will tally up your score and just see how well you did, okay? So if you got, let's say, a 0 to 3, we would say that it's time for you to treat yourself a little bit more, treat yourself a little bit better, take some time to really focus on your self-care and putting yourself first. It is a possibility that you may be focusing on others and putting others before yourself and neglecting yourself. So there is no shame in it. It happens to the best of us, right? But that would just be a little nudge for you to take some time to focus on self-care a little bit more, make it more of a priority. So let's say starting next week or even starting tomorrow, just take some time to try to cross some things off the list and make sure you achieve those goals. If you scored a 4 to, let's say, a 4 to a 7, that means that you are on the right track. That means that you are doing pretty well when it comes to your self-care. You are starting to make it a priority. It might not be, at the forefront of your mind, but you do take time to practice in self-care activities, and that's a really, really good thing. And you should be proud of yourself. Pat yourself on the back. Okay? If you scored an 8 to a 10, that you are really, really strong in your game. You are doing really well when it comes to self-care, and that others might look up to you when it comes to holistic care, when it comes to taking care of your mind, body, and soul. So you are on the right track. You are doing really, really well, and keep it up. Okay, so if you enjoyed this brief activity, let me know. We could definitely incorporate other activities, add more activities to the list, or we can shift to other things, focusing more on the spiritual aspect, or more mental and emotional. But if there are some things that you did engage in or participate in last week that you would deem self-care that I did not include in the list, you can create your own list, right? Or you can add those activities onto your list and give yourself points for those things too. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this activity. I hope you found it fun and cool to really be able to give yourself some credit for the things that you do. If you enjoyed this, feel free to share the video, pass the word on, or you can incorporate it and pass it on to someone that you know personally who you feel isn't taking so much time for themselves and who tends to neglect themselves a little bit because they're focusing on others. And this could be a little nudge for them. This could be a little push so that they can give themselves the self-care that they deserve. Love and light, everyone. I will see you soon.